Hello, everyone. My name is Kara Seffel. I'm a GBS Health and Wellness Nutrition intern. Today, we'll talk about feeding a healthy family with a focus on snacks and drinks. So for today's agenda, we'll cover energy dense versus nutrient dense and talk about snack swaps, timing and frequency of meals and snacks with a focus on grazing, tips for teens, and then we'll have some resources in a campaign wrap-up. So the dietary guidelines for Americans contain recommendations for the 5 main food groups: vegetables, fruits, grains, dairy, and protein foods, as well as recommendations to limit the intake of added sugar, sodium, and saturated fat. However, most in the US do not meet these recommendations. So in this chart, you can see that the goal intake is going to be the middle line. The intake above the recommendation is the purple bars, and the intake below the recommendation are the dark blue bars. So I've highlighted here at the bottom that most in the US underconsume vegetables, fruits, and dairy in green, and overconsume refined grains and proteins, the boxes in red. This happens throughout childhood and into adulthood. And it's important to try to get a mix from each food group in order to obtain the nutrients needed for optimal health, growth, and development. A great opportunity to increase kids' veggies, fruits, and dairy and reduce added sugar, sodium, and saturated fat is to focus on snack foods. So snack foods can be a great opportunity to increase beneficial nutrients and reduce overall calories or energy if needed. And snacks can be either nutrient dense or energy dense. Research shows that early food preferences influence later food choices. Snack foods are often provide added sugar, sodium, and saturated fat, and increase calories in a child's diet. And this begins as toddlers reach preschool age and snack consumption begins to increase. Snacks are often either energy dense on the right, which are foods that are high in calories or energy but lacking in nutrients, or they can be nutrient dense on the left, which are foods that are high in nutrients but relatively low in overall calories or energy. So the combination of sugary, salty, and high-fat foods are more easily overconsumed because they have a high reward response in the brain. So they're sending those dopamine signals in the brain that say, yes, we really like this. But they lack that fiber and protein that helps signal fullness in the body. Therefore, the overconsumption of energy-dense snack foods can lead to overeating and the development of unhealthy eating patterns. Conversely, if snack foods consist of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, as well as dairy without added sugar, they can add nutrient-dense energy into the diet and help lay the foundation for healthy eating patterns. So that sounds easy enough, right? However, in reality, this can be a pretty hard switch. So some snack swaps that reduce the main nutrients that are overconsumed in snacks, which are, again, sugar, sodium, saturated fat, are shown on this page. And these are overconsumed by children of all ages and often even adults. So, for example, instead of choosing a flavored yogurt, which often has a ton of added sugar, we can choose plain yogurt and add our own chopped fruit and maybe a small drizzle of honey, which will add fiber, vitamin, minerals, as well as a little bit of sugar, but not as much as the flavored yogurt. Cereal with added sugar and milk can be a tough way to start the day. It makes the body work really hard to take that sugar out of the bloodstream. Instead, we can choose a lower sugar cereal, ideally with some fiber, and add milk to that. And maybe even add that fruit again if that sweet flavor is something that the child is used to. Instead of buying a store-bought smoothie with added sugar, make a homemade smoothie with fruit and yogurt. If that sounds overwhelming in the morning, make it the night before and grab it to take with you. Butter crackers with processed cheese are going to be high in salt as well as saturated fat. So choosing whole grain crackers with real cheese or nut butter can be a great snack instead that will keep the child full and satisfied until the next meal. White flour tortillas are low in fiber, So choosing a whole wheat tortilla or a corn tortilla with cheese and salsa is a better choice. Chips with ranch tend to be really salty and really high in saturated fat, and they don't provide fiber or protein to help keep a kid nice and full until the next meal. So veggie sticks with hummus can be a much better option to add protein and a little bit of fiber. So thanks to national campaigns bringing awareness to health risks related to sugar sweetened beverages, data from 2003 to 2016 shows an overall decline in the consumption of sugar sweetened beverages. However, there's still a really high intake of these sugary drinks, especially among adolescents. So a sugar sweetened beverage can be in the form of an energy drink, a sports drink, flavored waters that have been sweetened, soda, sweetened tea and coffee, and fruit flavored drinks. So why do drinks matter? Well, sugary drinks have been shown specifically to be associated with excess calorie intake, which drives childhood overweight and obesity in the US and increases the risk for developing dental cavities, insulin resistance, which eventually leads to type 2 diabetes, and potential long-term health effects and consequences into adulthood. So water is the best choice for kids. And if the child really loves juice, try to keep that portion small, 4 to 8 ounces maximum, depending on the age, or try watering down the juice with a little bit of water to dilute the sugar. So you are your child's best role model. So when setting a good example by drinking water, you can influence the child's healthy habits. Make using water bottles fun. Decorate them, give them as a gift, let them pick out their own. Make it something that they want to drink out of. Start the water habit early. Kids who drink water early are more likely to drink it as they get older. And you can always change up the flavor by adding fresh fruit like lemon or pineapple, strawberries, or a slice of cucumber for a fresh twist. So it can be really hard to switch to water if a kid has already gotten used to the sugar sweetened beverages. So start with one small change. Maybe it's the way that they drink with their lunch. Instead of choosing a sugar sweetened beverage, they choose one of these alternatives. And maybe they still have their favorite beverage at dinner. Start with a small change and work your way from there. Kids should choose water because it's healthy. There's no calories, no added sugar, and the body is made up of 60 to 70% water. So it helps keep joints healthy. It helps keep your teeth from developing cavities, helps the blood circulate, and it's good for the mind. Staying hydrated can help them focus and concentrate in school. So children have diverse energy needs due to the varying growth and development rates, as well as physical activity. Young children may need 2 to 3 snacks because their stomachs are smaller, but older kids in general need 3 meals plus 1 to 2 snacks a day. Offer those planned meals so that they can learn to expect those and rely on those, and the snacks as well, consistently throughout the day. Try offering a snack a few hours after one meal ends, but 1 to 2 hours before the next meal to ensure that they're hungry for that next meal. And importantly, avoid grazing. So grazing is frequent snacking between meals. And this can be really dangerous for overall health and development for the child because it can displace more healthful foods with energy-dense snack foods like we talked about. And they need those healthful foods at mealtime to help them get all the nutrients they need for growth. It can cause some children to overeat and others to undereat. Grazing also increases the likelihood of eating for emotional reasons. And grazing means that there's a lack of structure with meals and snacks that can cause emotional upset rather than teaching routine and structure around food. Okay, so teens have a lot going on with hormonal changes that come with puberty, as well as growth spurts that require a lot of energy from food to support them. On top of all that, they're pushing boundaries and testing the water with making their own decisions. So here's some tips for teens that basically most come from the Ellen Satter Institute. I encourage you to check out her website at the bottom of this slide here if you want to find out more information. But follow the Division of Responsible Feeding. Do your job with feeding and let the team do theirs with eating. That is, choose the foods you want to present with them in the home and let them choose how much or which foods to eat. Let them manage their own schedule and snack timing so that they can arrive home for dinner on time and hungry. Teach them to take responsibility for eating 3 meals a day and a snack right after school. Let them find their own ways with eating away from home. Talk about their food management strategies, what's working and what isn't. Did they get really hungry in the middle of soccer practice because they didn't eat their snack after school? Talk to them about ways that they can work through some of these food management strategies. Build skills for when they leave the home. Have them get involved in meal planning and shopping, food preparation, food storage, and food safety. So adolescents who have family meals in their life still do better in all ways, and they do better nutritionally after they leave the home. So with feeding, as with all other things, your task is to find the middle ground between being in control on one hand and throwing away all the controls on the other hand. By following this division of responsibility in feeding, you can keep a balance between knowing when to take the leadership role and when to let go with your teams. So this week's resources include our nutrient-dense and energy-dense snack flyer, recipes for water and sugary drink alternatives, as well as a snack swap challenge. Thank you for watching. So if you followed along for the 4-week Feed a Healthy Family campaign, we'll just do a quick wrap up here. So for the Feed a Healthy Family campaign, we talked about building a healthy relationship with food, the division of responsible feeding, feeding schedule, serving healthy foods and the right amount, and making food fun. Then we talked about pressure feeding, hunger and fullness cues, food as reward, clean your plate, positive food phrasing, picky eating, and building trust. We talked about finding food balance with food groups of concern and nutrients of concern, looking at how to read a food label and how important portion sizes are. And lastly, we talked about snacks and drinks, energy dense versus nutrient dense snacks, snack swaps, drinks, snack timing, grazing, and some special tips for teens. I want to thank you for participating in the Feed a Healthy Family campaign. I hope you are able to find some tips and some resources that will help bring balance and positivity around food and the child or children you are feeding. Thanks so much.